Meeting is being live streamed. Okay. 115.92. Another game under 100. Cannot complain about that.
I think we're on. No?
Think so. So it's live.
We are. Yo, what's going on? Welcome back out to Cavs Encapsulated post-game pulse number 2. How about that one? We're already on to our second installment of being live post-game. We're coming to you after the Cavs beat the Bulls 115-92 on the night. A great all-around performance. I'm going to tweet out some links. I'm going to upload some thumbnails. Logan, start us off with some of your notes. I'm going to default to you at the beginning of the
year. Let's do it. Well, I just want to first I don't know if this will ever reach him, and it definitely won't. And I have great respect for this broadcaster in the sports broadcasting world, Adam Amin, the play-by-play guy for the Chicago Bulls. He believed at the beginning of the tip that Scotty Barnes is the number 1 rookie in the NBA. Yes. And I thought, you know what? You want to say 1A, 1B, fine. But he said, I think it's pretty clear cut that Evan Mobley is number 2. Mobley scored the first 8 points before the first timeout was called. Mobley had 5 blocks tonight. He practically swallowed Zach LaVine's shot on a block at one point. I mean, show me another rookie in the NBA, guys, that has as big of an impact on his team as Evan Mobley. I can't tell you one. But all around, I don't know why I have this fascination. Then you talk about Evan Mobley every freaking podcast or every live stream, but an all-around good win against, a team that obviously is shorthanded, much like our first live stream against the shorthanded Heat. Cavaliers pick up another good win against a top Eastern Conference opponent who is shorthanded, but kind of similar to the Heat. Chicago is just one of those tough teams that always seem to be, tough to put away, but the Cavaliers were overall in control tonight, especially in that second half.
Man, I don't even know. It's so tough doing this because I don't even know where to start, and it's kind of hectic off the rip here. But here's the thing, and I want to get this out of the way first before I forget to do it, because I know I'm going to forget to do it. The rookie is 20 years old. Evan Mobley is 20 years old, and I didn't say anything about it. I wasn't gonna start tweeting and this, that, and the other thing, but because they had him with 5 blocks in the first, or they had him with, what did he end with? 6 blocks?
I think he ended with 5.
Okay,
so ended with 5.
So they had him with 5 in the first half. And then they came out in the third quarter and he got another one. He tied up Zach LaVine. But then John Michael said that they took one away from him. So in the third quarter, he was, if he would have had it, but I mean, either way, he was on a triple-double watch with blocks in the third quarter at 20 years old. I need to get that out there. He had the double-double. I mean, that's insane for a 20-year-old. We talked about this in the last episode. He's in there. He's on the table for Defensive Player of the Year. There's no other way to look at it. You can't say he's not going to win it. It seems unlikely. But down the stretch, if this Cavs team makes splashes, if they are competent and they really, have a good seeding in the Eastern Conference, his name is going to be there when it comes to Eastern or Defensive Player of the Year, excuse me.
Yeah, it's really weird to look at stats like in terms of averages right now, because I don't feel like his blocks per game reflect his actual amount of blocks that he gets. I feel like he's always consistently around 3 blocks a game, but that contested shot number that doesn't show up in the stat sheet is going to be one of those biggest contributors to his potential in future Defensive Player of the Year candidacy. It's just phenomenal, though, that the kid is, like you said, a kid. He's younger than us now. It's crazy to think. You look at the 3 of us, and I mean, I think I have a baby. If I shaved, I definitely have a baby face, and I look like I'm still in high school. But man, it's crazy that Darius Garland, also younger than us. This team is just a very young team in general, and giving teams to work. Obviously, the Bulls are a little short-handed tonight without DeMar DeRozan, but speaking of short, their lineup not going to match up well against the Cavs. We talk about 7-game series. I mean, I would take us easy in a 7-game series.
I was thinking the same thing.
Even with DeMar DeRozan. I mean, that's interesting. It's hard for me to say, but we talked about Defensive Player of the Year. We talked about Mobley having, that impact despite maybe not all the numbers showing up all the time, even though, he still puts pretty good numbers in there. It's the Cavs' length, right? I mean, it's just so hard to combat against. When they're reading the starting lineups at the beginning of the game, and I'm hearing 6'4", 6'4", 6'6", 6'7", 6'11" for the Bulls, taking on, 3 7-footers of the Cavs, along with Garland and Okoro. I mean, you're just not going to be able to combat that, especially already being down as many guys as you are. But tonight was a story of height, and height won out. And I think that's what's so fun about this Cavs team is that height didn't matter. It stopped mattering a couple of years ago. And suddenly the Cavaliers are making it their focus. And we've harped on it. We've talked about it. And here we are again talking about it. I mean, it's just a really interesting recipe the Cavaliers have come up with to win these games. And Jeff, you mentioned it, and I want the live stream to hear it as well. The Bulls were dejected. They really were. You can tell they're pretty much depressed and tired of defending the Cavaliers. Come middle of that third quarter, starting the fourth quarter, it's just like they have to reach for the ball. They have to, jump and try to get in passing lanes. They have to exert so much energy just to avoid us getting those entry feeds, getting us into the paint, that by the time we score, it's a real backbreaker.
Yeah, that was a big point that, I mean, you could just tell Zach LaVine is literally looking around like he does not even know what to do. He goes from, he's on 1 7-footer and then he switches on to another one and Markkanen just dunks on him. It was honestly hilarious. I don't understand. Like, I don't even know what to say because this is the second seed in the East and shorthanded again. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of ironic. It's kind of funny how this is the second week. We did this last week and Miami was shorthanded, but it's still to the point where these are games that, you're supposed to win. You're supposed to dominate at home, albeit the Bulls were the second seed in the East coming into tonight. But there's, you're not going to be healthy all year long. A lot of these teams aren't going to be in the NBA. There's a lot of load management. There's a lot of injuries in the NBA. So you have to be ready to play, and you can't. I haven't seen the Cavs play down to an opponent all year long. I think we've sufficiently played up, and I think that's been good. We haven't played down. Let's check out some of the chat right here. DF Sports helping us out. Yeah, switch that up real quick. We got the thumbnail in there too. I know it's a little hectic starting these off. I don't have the right title on there. It's whatever. We're working out the kinks. It's kind of, as soon as we go live, it's like I got to do 9 things, but it's all right. King of 216, go Cavs. Love it. Go Cavs, go Browns, go Guardians. Go it all. Go 216. It's going to be a good year all the way around for the Cavs. I think here's what I want to talk about, which I want to hear Logan's thoughts if this is a concerted coaching effort from JB. I think it is. And I'm not in there. I don't know. I'm not watching him draw on the whiteboard. I don't know if we have set plays coming out of quarters, but John Michael was talking about it. In the second quarter, the Cavs started 4 for 4 from the field. In the third quarter, we started 6 from 6 from the field. In the fourth quarter, we started 4 for 4 from the field.
Wow.
We're getting great looks right out of the start of some quarters. I don't know if it's design plays. I don't know if JB has a different philosophy for the first, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of the quarter, but whatever it is, it's working great.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think back when Ty Lue was the coach, we had some good out of bounds plays as well. Say what you want about Ty Lue as a championship coach at the end of the day. I think what it comes down to is back in those days when the Cavaliers were really damn good from 2014 to 2018, I think you could kind of go out there and just kind of do it. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot of coaching going on because it's just like, we have talent, go out there and play. I think JB Bickerstaff is in the right situation where this is a team that on paper, before the season, people might have thought, okay, maybe 30 wins, 35 wins tops for this team, but suddenly they're having success. So he has to do not only the right amount of coaching, but he also has the talent. So I think when you combine both of those, I don't know, and this could just be like what I'm thinking, what my theory is. I think they're in such a healthy spot because they have guys who still need to be coached. They're still a young team. They have guys that are trying to learn. I think JB Bickerstaff is very good at coaching young players and teaching them the ropes. Instead of having a bunch of veterans who are like, don't talk to me, coach, I know what the hell I'm doing. You have, guys who are willing to learn, who have talent, who could be very good in this NBA when you look at the young, core that we have. When you put that together, it makes for, quite the recipe to start games, to finish games, to come out of halves, and to not get complacent. These Cavaliers don't get complacent. They don't lose focus. They might let a run up here and there, but they're one of only 3 teams in the NBA right now to not lose by 15 or more points in any game. They're always in every single game. And I think that comes down to JB Bickerstaff constantly being, the voice on the sideline and keeping these guys going.
Another crazy thing from this game, which I did realize it in the first half, but the Bulls did not have a bench point until the fourth quarter.
Wow.
I think we all heard that. That's impressive. I think that is another byproduct of them being a little bit shorthanded, but that is even the difference. Take away injuries. And Justin's been talking about this all year. This is just a theme for Justin, regardless of who it is. It's actually started with the Browns last year, translated to the Browns this season, and now it's just a Cleveland thing. If we have people out, I am confident that if we have our 6th and 7th guy out, I'm confident our 8th and 9th guy could be pretty competent. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and light it up, but it was to the point tonight where the Bulls obviously had 5 or 6 guys on an injury report, but they were showing us no depth. And I feel like the next man up mentality. I mean, you even saw it at the end of the game. Dean Wade checks in for the first time, coming back and he buries some 3. So how do you feel about the bench play from the Cavs so far this season, Justin, and in this game for sure?
I was going to make that point about them only scoring 2 points. Thank you for bringing that up. But we just talked about in our last Cavs Encapsulated about maybe trading for a potential starter on this team. But you look at this team and you look at, roster top to bottom, and you're like, there's not really a person likely a person that you want to bring in that you want to give up more than 1 to 2 players if necessary on this team right now. Because from Ricky Rubio to Kevin Love to Cedi Osman to just, guys coming back from certain things, Dean Wade obviously having his injury and coming back. He was a huge part of our team when guys were out early on, Lauri Markkanen, Evan Mobley and such. So, we have this really good chemistry, and, the JB Bickerstaff point is going to ring out throughout the rest of this year. We already had the conversation of him potentially being coach of the year, but, let's just talk about like improvements from guys that from last year, we didn't want them to do a whole lot of things. Kevin Love, when he was, playing, wasn't playing his best basketball. This dude is playing his best basketball tonight, or not tonight, this season, not tonight particularly. But you look at Cedi Osman.
Pretty good off the bench.
When did Cedi become such a defensive presence? When did this dude become the LeBron James of coming and chasing down dudes and blocking them? It's ridiculous that he's had this much improvement in a year's span, and you wonder what that could be. And hopefully it's coming from him doing his own work, but also just a complete idea that this is a defensive first team. Like, we are holding teams to less than 100 on a consistent basis. So
I'm
very thankful for all of it.
Jetty now is curling into threes like Kyle Korver, not shooting like Kyle Korver. Don't say that, but he's doing like that same come around the court, run all the way around, and then come around with the left foot, bring the right foot around into a shot. I mean, he's shooting shots that he wasn't shooting a year ago, 2 years ago. And I don't mean to just talk about Jetty. I think everybody is kind of taking a step up offensively. I think you look at Okoro, who, yes, his shot still just can't seem to fall. I still think that it has potential just because of the way it looks. I don't think it's broke, but he's realizing he may not realize it as much last year, but Okoro can get most of the places on the court as he wants. He can get to the rim pretty much at will. It comes down to taking the right angle, being patient, finishing with contact. It's just guys working on their game, guys getting older, guys becoming veterans. And then you combine that with, hey, we're a winning team. That can totally change a whole team's morale, its attitude, its confidence, and it's translating onto the court.
Back over to our live chat. A.Lem says, no Caruso, no DeMar. We've admitted it. We've already said multiple times. If you're just getting in here, if you're just funneling in, we've said it. We're not saying that this is
No.
Yeah, a lot of guys hurt for the Bulls, but it's like regardless of who you're a fan of, I'm not sure. I really can't tell if you're a Cavs fan, if you're a Bulls fan, if you're trying to be, realistic. We understand that, we agree, but at the same time, Caruso would have been interesting. I would have liked to see Caruso come in and maybe play some defense on Darius Garland after we saw him with Drew Holiday the other night. I will give you that. But Caruso at 6'6" and DeMar DeRozan at 6'6", that's not having a big impact on our bigs. You have Markkanen 14 7-footer, Jarrett Allen 13 7-footer, Mobley 16 7-footer, Kevin Love 6'10", 6'11", 11 points off the bench. So I do understand that those guys bring an extra effort, Caruso defensively, DeMar on the offensive side of the ball, but that's not stopping us from scoring 115 points. I think we still have a good chance with those guys in there.
And believe me, teams like Brooklyn, who beat us twice, a team like Golden State, team like Phoenix, who beat us when we were down 4 or 5 guys, I'm sure they thought the exact same thing. Yeah, the Cavaliers, and they were down all these guys, meh. But they were also thinking it's a freaking win. And any win, you can learn anything about yourself in any game. I think the Cavaliers of old, when they were good, how many times did they play down to the talent, right?
Yep.
I mean, how many times did we blow a game to a team like Memphis on a random night in 2016 or 2017 when they were down 4 of their 5 stars? Only reason I remember that game is because I was pissed off when we lost that game. But that's like a win is a win. It may not feel as good, and it might not. I think that's probably why we all don't have the same energy as we did on the last.
It's fine though. We'll take wins. We'll take wins in December though.
You can learn anything. You can learn not to get complacent. You can learn, okay, next time I play Chicago, we're gonna have a much different task, and that's when JB can show what kind of a coach he is and make the proper adjustments. Being like, guys, this was easy last time, sure. Now they got a guy who's up for All-Star this year in DeMar DeRozan. How are we going to adjust to that? Let's talk about it. So it remains to be seen. I like the point. I'm glad that we have some interaction in the chat.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just one of those things, though, that this allows you to face, I guess, another challenge down the road and you play Chicago again.
But and I think we're excited because you check the Bulls record 17-9. And if you're watching the Cavs broadcast, we have had this year, we've had the hardest schedule out of anyone in the NBA. So we're sitting here at 13-12 thinking, the Bulls are 17-9, missing Colin Sexton for the year. Jared Allen's missed games. Evan Mobley's missed 4 games. Lamar Stevens has been out. Chetty has been in and out of the lineup. Dean Wade just returned from a couple of games. We're sitting here thinking we should be 17-9. We're playing 17-9 basketball, if not better. You want to win games at home. I don't care who you're playing at home. You want to win games at home.
Well, I just love to beat Chicago. Absolutely love to beat Chicago in any era, man.
Jeff, I think it's interesting to make that point about the strength of schedule, especially with the one comment that we have in here from King of 216
I saw King of 216. He retracted it, but I'm going to throw it out there. He said, we need to go get a shooter, Mark Ingram, not the running back for the New Orleans Saints. He meant Brandon Ingram, though. I know what he was trying to get at. And yes, I agree. Pick up the phone. You got to at least ask what the Pelicans want for Brandon Ingram. Don't have to do anything, but go ahead, Justin. And he says, go get shooters.
I'm on the board because, like I was talking to and alluding about earlier, I don't really want to give up too much for high profile names because I don't know that this team at this point needs a high profile name. And I don't want to give up anything that's necessary for that in terms of players. I'd be fine with maybe picks if we made them protected, but the strength of schedule with, you go back and you look at how many players we had out at one point in a time, and we're still above 500. I mean, that's just insane to think about. And it's only going to get easier from this point on. Maybe you'll see guys kind of improve as the season goes along. And as much as I kept on going, I want Buddy Hield, I want a shooter, I need a 3-point shooter specialist outside of our big men being able to do it. I just don't want to have to give up anything at this point in the season and just run with the guys that we have.
Justin, I got to ask you though, because here's the thing. I do agree with you that I think that adding a role player like Buddy Hield logically makes the most sense. Our last episode, Cavs Encapsulated, episode number 7, with our gracious guest, Bennett Sullen, brings up a great thing about CJ McCollum. Today comes out, he has a collapsed lung, out indefinitely. Unlucky.
Yeah.
Go watch that video, though. You hear us talking about trades, it kind of starts to, spur your mind, especially from someone I didn't think about. CJ McCollum. Buddy comes in and tells it to me. I'm thinking of trades all around. Justin brings up Buddy Hield. But I got to ask you, Justin, do you think this roster is a final contender roster at the moment?
A finals contender? No, we went up against a finals contender.
So then you got to think about picking up the phone for somebody. I do understand getting away from the future. Early? No, it's not too early. It's never too early in the NBA, in my opinion, just because it's so easy to make a move.
Yeah, I guess my biggest qualm with doing it now is, listen, I already have the guys in my head that I'm willing to part ways with, and that's Isaac Okoro and it's Colin Sexton. And those are, as of right now, two
See, I kind of disagree with you though already, because the trade for me.
We got disagreement. I
love no. But no, I would agree with those
talking
players
right now.
But here's the thing though, if we're making a move, and this is why it's tough, because I'm torn too. There's a 1% portion of me that's an emotional fan as well. I would love for Kevin Love to retire a Cavalier, but if we could get Kevin Love's contract off the books, that's the biggest thing to me. But I understand where you're coming from, Okoro and Sexton.
Getting his contract off the books, though, would just mean that in the likelihood of it, we would just bring on someone else's big contract.
But who would probably bring better value?
But that's the point. Like, I don't know that as of right now, like the way Kevin Love plays coming off the bench, I just don't know that, like.
But like Kevin Love isn't guarding Kevin Love versus LaMarcus Aldridge in a hypothetical Eastern Conference Finals against the Nets. Like, I don't want that. I mean, it'd be interesting, but I mean, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to think about. Back into the chat, A.Lems, just a bummer. Could have been a great game. Totally agree. We wholeheartedly agree that we would rather play a full strength Bulls team in a 7-game series. I think even in December, we could say that would probably be a hell of a playoff series. Either way you slice it. This is an underrated point. League is best when old teams like Knicks, Bulls, Pacers, and Cavs are good and fighting. I totally agree. As much as I dislike like the Knicks, like I really don't like the Knicks. Don't know why. It's just, I don't like a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference. We've always been Toronto's big brother, especially because of LeBron James. We got, they're historic franchises. Obviously, Michael Jordan and the Bulls, obviously LeBron James and the Cavs. And there's just been good, there's always been good rivalries in the East. I mean, how many times did Hito Turkoglu burn us in the 2000s when we played against the Magic? Like, the Eastern Conference is historic sports lore. So totally agree with you. King of 216, he's still going off about game next man up. Totally agree. I mean, you're not going to have everyone healthy all year long. It is December. So I don't think one loss in December is going to hurt the Chicago Bulls team. Could be wrong. Tom K, last 3 games, teams seem to be taking away the Darius Allen lob, a concern.
A little bit.
Great point.
That's a good point. That is a good point. There wasn't much of it today.
I saw it, though, today, where this is where Darius Garland, his name is, for Cavs fans, he's going to be the Cavs' most improved player on the roster. He's not going to probably win most improved in the league. Small chance, a lot of season left. But he is going to win the Cavs' most improved player due to his ability to score at all 3 levels. Logan talks about this great. The 3-point jumpers coming on. Justin loves that shot when it's hot. Kind of dislikes it when it's cold, though. Very fair on the 3-point shot. The floater game, you still see plays every night. He dribbles. He keeps his dribble alive. He's liable to go to the floater. He's liable to go to the lob. I do agree we have been seeing less lobs, though. Logan, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, Tom K, that's a great comment, because I actually, when he said it, it rung in my head, too. I was like, I didn't see that tonight, because – I kind of expected it in that Bucks game. I think they prepped well. You have Giannis too, whose length is always going to kind of obstruct any kind of lob towards the rim. I think teams are starting to prep in a way, but I think another part of it too is, I think the Cavaliers they have their identity, they have what they want to do, but also there's also games where other guys are hot, especially with this Cavaliers team. Sometimes we ride a different guy on any given game, especially lately, Lauri Markkanen's been able to knock down some shots. He's been really, scoring the ball well. Evan Mobley, sometimes we just say, give him the ball and get the hell out of the way. Sometimes Garland, who, without Sexton has been more aggressive and is kind of kept the ball more often than not than lobbing it up to Allen. I think also, again, it's just like one of those things, like you're working against teams who are starting to realize who you are. It's only going to happen so long that you can get away with something like that. Like I remember back in 2016, Dellavedova to Tristan Thompson, the Lob City all over. I mean, those guys would find the connection all day long, but come 2017, actually, no, not 2017 because Delhi was gone by then. 2015 to 2016, you saw that happen less because teams just eventually adjust. Is it a weapon? It is, but maybe we got away with it, more than we should have. So now it's one of those things where you have to kind of work out the offense. You figure out exactly, let's run away from it, but we bring it back maybe a few times in the game, just not show our cards as often as we did in the first 24 games or whatever through the season. But it is a great point.
Yeah, I think that the point about like the Allen and Garland lob and just the connection overall is like, if that's not going for you in the night, it's really not going to it shouldn't deter the team too much because of who can pop off at any moment. Like we've seen Chetty go for 20 plus. We've seen Rubio go for 20. We've seen Love go for 20. Like a lot of guys coming off of our bench can go for 20. It's weird to think, but am I the only one who thinks that Lauri Markkanen is the only him and maybe Kevin are just the weirdest straight up shooters on our team? It's just they catch the ball and they're like, I'll just shoot it. Why not?
The broadcast is literally talking pregame about how big of a size advantage we have, and Lauri's first shot is a fadeaway. When he fades away, sometimes it's fine though. That's part of his game. If we had that's what's working though. If we had everyone down low, it's an issue. Now it's we know Allen's playing down there. We know Lauri is going to be your 3-point perimeter in your starting lineup. Even outside of there's games where Lauri kind of takes the front seat when it comes to 3-point shooting over Garland in our starting lineup. It's very weird. Justin, I'm putting you on the spot. I hate to do it.
I love putting Justin on the spot.
I hate to do it, but you know how I feel. And the quick answer, because then we got to go to chat. Is maturing as a Cavaliers fan post LeBron era, realizing that Darius Garland is a more all-around player than Colin Sexton?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I was worried you were about to say something about we were gonna have a Kyrie conversation. I was very afraid there for a second. But yeah, I think it's really easy to just kind of get over the whole Colin Sexton thing. Yeah, when LeBron left, it was all right, I'm gonna go find this new thing just to just because there's a pit of nothingness there now and I need it. So Colin Sexton was that muse for people for a couple of years, but in reality we weren't winning games like we are now, and the team just in general is better off without him. I think that might be something that pisses people off. I don't really care.
It's a lot of
right now.
No, go ahead.
No, the Cavs as of right now, come on. I haven't been this happy about the Cavs in so long. And in those first couple of games, the team's getting going and all that. And Colin, of course, is a part of that. But I'm just not about trying to make the argument for him for any good reason of hey, he dropped 24 last year because he's taking all the shots, legitimately just taking all the shots from everyone around the court. And I'm just done with it. I'm pretty okay with just getting rid of him.
I'll say this much for Colin Sexton, though. I think beginning of this year, I just love playing devil's advocate, guys.
It's perfect.
I'll say this much. Beginning of this season, I thought Sexton was really carving out a nice role for us. He got injured in that Knicks game,
true.
Right? So I think we were 8-5 going into that Knicks game. We ended up pulling it out. We were still playing good basketball. So it's hard to say, what I would love to see a what if situation where Sexton was still healthy. We played now 26 games.
Yep. 14 and 12,
seeing if our record is about the same. I'm curious because I'm saying still put in the variables of Mobley missing games, Allen missing games, Markkanen missing games. Go ahead and put those variables in. I'd be curious to see where we'd sit. I honestly don't know if it'd be much different. So it just totally depends if Sexton can stay in his role, shoot, 11 to 15 shots a game tops instead of 20, which he was doing at the beginning of the season. it could probably still work out. It's just one of those things, though, that he's a very valuable piece because he can still score with the best of them in the NBA. And if you're the Cavaliers and you want to take that next step and you think that this team fits better without him, and this is just, again, not my opinion, it's just, what people can say. I really don't like making enemies, especially because I know Sexton is very much beloved by a lot of Cavs fans, and I personally do like his game. I just wonder if his game fits here in Cleveland.
Not to cut anyone off, but I'm jumping down the list of comments, and we'll get to all of them. But Robert Valor making a point about bring Sexton off the bench next year. Best hope for he could be a Jordan Clarkson spark plug type player. Yeah, we fiddled with that idea earlier on this season when it was an actual rumor. If you go and watch our last video, we talked about that. It is like an idea that I was pretty happy with at the beginning, thinking it was a reality. But I think that'd be a great way to implement him back into the team if he doesn't come back at all this year.
Love that point. I think the bench is, I think he could win Sixth Man of the Year for the next, if he took a team friendly contract, he could probably win Sixth Man of the Year the rest of his career if he stayed here. So
Manu Ginobili made a Hall of Fame career by being
exactly coming off the bench is underrated.
And you can say Manu was definitely good enough to be a starting shooting guard. Many people back in his day considered him a top 7 shooting guard, despite him coming off the bench every single game. I sometimes forgot he was a bench player because of how good he is. Like Sexton could carve out that kind of role for his career. I personally think he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. I think I think he's a team guy. I don't think he's a me first guy. I don't think he has a personality that's like, look at me. I think he's a type of guy that just wants to win. And if you give him, hey man, you come off the bench, it's your free reign, go ahead and score as much as you want, and and be part of a winning recipe, that seems to be a great role for Sexton. I really think he belongs as a top-notch, to be remembered in NBA history, 6-man. Not to be remembered starting shooting guard in NBA history. Yeah. I think the right role is that 6-man, but let him dominate it. I really think he could.
You watch guys excel at that 6-man role too. I mean, before James Harden went on to, just rule the Rockets with just himself for a couple of years, that team of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, you almost forget that James Harden was coming off the bench behind you could almost make the parallel of Isaac Okoro, Thabo Cephalosha, and Colin Sexton being a James Harden, in the aspect that Cephalosha never offered anything offensively, good defensive player. Isaac Okoro maybe offers a little bit more on the offensive end, but defensively is a stud. And then you bring on, the spark plug of James Harden, who shoots the 3 ball a little bit better than Sexton, but Sexton can get his points in bunches. So it really is an underrated role that, I wouldn't tell Sexton, or obviously if I was Sexton, I probably feel a little bit slighted, but also at the end of the day, Jeff, you and I have talked about with football, like you got to do what you got to do for championships.
Right. And all good points. A lot to talk about. It's fun to talk about the Cavs again. I'm so excited, baby. Yeah. You're here. It's Cavs Encapsulated. It's the post-game pulse. Number 2, the Cavs 112 victory, or 112 points over the Bulls tonight. And a 95 for the Bulls. I think I have 92 in the title, but we don't really care. We're just rolling with the punches. To the chat. To the chat. I knew A-Lems, we appreciate you. I knew Caleb would show out as an audition for the Bulls. I don't think we trade him to the West. I'm going to run through these. If we want to talk about something specific, I don't know if you guys have the chat pulled up, but I'll reread some of them if you guys want to. Do we have any good draft spots to offer for next year? King of 216. I've been sitting on this for a while. A Dame Lillard to the Cavs trade got floated today from ESPN. Not saying it's realistic, but the trade included Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Kevin Love, a 2022 first-round pick, a 2022 second-round pick, and a 2024 first-round pick for Damian Lillard and Robert Covington. Get a little bit of a, Dame Lillard's the steak. Robert Covington is like the bread, butter him up. So we do have picks. Long story short.
We actually have one pick that is 2022. It's from Houston. I don't know if it's the Hawks or if it's OKC, but it says that it's ours.
This trade says from Houston, the one that ESPN said. For KPJ, I think, or was it the Jared Allen?
We got a second round pick for Kevin Porter. That's all I know.
That's what it is, I think. Moving along,
second rounder for Kevin Porter Jr. Okay,
it's fine. I mean, he's in Houston. We get to play him.
Purgatory.
I hope he don't drop like 40 on us when we play him coming up. Dean Wade and Stevens have put in work. Both look to have developed. Totally agree. Tom K is spitting facts. Chetty is an energy player, awesome in his focused role. Chetty coming off the bench is like Kevin Love coming off the bench. You don't expect it to be their role, but it's a mental thing at some point for these guys. Chetty just couldn't play as a starter. He's probably making starter money in the NBA. I think he's earned like $7 or $8 million, but it's fine. We have these deep players. If you weren't here before we talked about it, we said, our 8th, 9th, 10th guys, we think we could have confidence in. Dean Wade, I was arguing with somebody today on Twitter, my personal Twitter, which we're over at Paul's Cleveland on Twitter. Go follow us. All of our personal Twitters are in here right next to our Zoom names. I'm at Jeffrey_Santa. Justin is at Justin Heroverse, and Logan is at LJ Leduc 1999. Follow us up and disagree with us because we love the conflict. But I was saying, Isaac Okoro, I was arguing with somebody about Dean Wade has had a better 2021 campaign than Isaac Okoro. They were spitting nonsense to me. They're saying Dean Wade comes off the bench. I had to remind them that 16 games that Dean Wade's played, he's started in 11 of them. He looks more confident from the three-point line. I think he's had a bigger defensive task in some games. I think he did a decent job against Kevin Durant in at least one of the Brooklyn games. And for the cherry on top, Dean Wade was undrafted in 2019. We drafted Okoro with the 5th pick. Love Dean Wade. He's been a pleasant surprise. Probably as big a surprise as Chetty. We talked about Sexton off the bench. Gary Scott, I'm glad that I didn't mull over this. Need to get Mobley the ball more. I love Mobley as much as the next guy. Have to respectfully disagree, though, because there's no one on this team I think we need to get the ball more. I think everybody is efficiently and sufficiently taking shots. Everybody loves their role. People know their role. And that's good. He follows it up with hands down rookie of the year. 100% Logan.
Yeah, I will say, we saw it tonight in that first quarter, the first 5 offensive sets, we lobbed it in low for Mobley. He scored 4 of those 5 possessions and did dominate. Yes, you could do that. Yes, Mobley could probably score 30 points a game, but you might not win those games. And that's that's what Jeff is trying to say is, yes, we could get Mobley's stats up higher. This Cavaliers team could target him more and make him, a superstar, which he'll get there. I really think he will. But are you willing to sacrifice that for the overall team morale, the overall team record at the end of the day? I don't think we see it with Sexton. We've seen it with, guys in the past. We've seen it with Paul Pierce back in the day with Boston when they were no good. He was scoring 25 points a game, but he wasn't good until he got help there, right? It's one of those things like, we could get him the ball. We could let him go off. Bradley Beal in Washington, another example. But the way this team functions, we don't have a superstar. Mobley isn't a superstar yet. He will be. You don't need to target him just yet. I think that they're spreading around those touches very well. They're really moving the ball, and that's what leads to the success they've had.
Here we go. Great point, Logan. Back into the chat. Rob Hill, you need more than one shot creator. Now, this had me thinking since I read it the first time. And it is fair for sure. And this is where Justin is so torn, and I understand about moving pieces for a potential superstar or even, a guy right on the edge like Brandon Ingram. Because I think the common sentiment that could be agreed upon is that our big men work so well because you're hard pressed to guard them all. You have to play Markkanen out on the perimeter. And then you have Mobley and Jarrett Allen at the secondary and tertiary levels of the basketball court. Good luck having 3 guys that are 7 foot, and good luck having 3 guys that play good defense, on all levels of the basketball. But if we could upgrade an Isaac Okoro for somebody who actually keeps the defense honest, that's our biggest point. And you guys out there can insert name. We will insert name. I think there's some good ones. I think a Dame Lillard trade, you got to listen to it. I'm not saying pull the trigger. I would if that was the trade. I said it earlier. I said pull the trigger. I think our window's now. I think our window's this year or next year. But you could disagree, and you would probably be right. I totally think that that's fine. If you think you're right, you probably are right. I don't know if leasing away our future for the present makes the most sense. Brandon Ingram is something that would be interesting. I think that an optimistic play in the East, because I don't think the Wizards would trade within the East, but I think Bradley Beal could be a long shot. Me and Justin liked him in the offseason. But if you could upgrade Okoro for player X who makes the perimeter, we all see this team. It's kind of go inside first, and that opens out the outside. The games that our offense looks stagnant, it's like we're going to take threes first and then try to go inside. So I know Justin, but you got to agree with that.
Yeah, man, I do see the consistency with how defenses like to play Isaac Okoro and how they just back off from him and let him shoot the threes. Really, if teams come in and they're like actually darting him from 18 feet out, I think they're losing that battle, or they just properly did not scout us, because you got to know his game isn't very good outside of that, in the paint area.
I'll say this, shot creators, I think the Cavaliers need some bailout guys. I think back in 2016, 2017, you had four. You had Kyrie, you had LeBron. I'm not going to say Kevin Love. I'm going to say J.R. Smith, who was Mr. 911, and Kyle Korver, who would come around and hit that late shot, or the ball.
Even at Iman Shumpert on that team.
Even Shumpert at times could create a little something. I think when you have two of your three guys, your three best players are Garland, Mobley, Allen. Yes. Mobley and Allen are both bigs. They are mobile bigs, but they're not guys that are go out in the perimeter and dribble it around. You need a guy like Buddy Hield, a guy like Brandon Ingram, a guy that you can swing it out to and be like, hey, we got 4 seconds left in the shot clock. Can you just put something on the rim that at least makes sense? So I do think a couple bailout options could really go a long way for this Cavaliers team.
An underrated point of the bigs, and this is where I am adamant about adding another shooter, and it's weird to talk about because I would just rather talk about the success of the team, about how we completely dominated the Bulls tonight, albeit they're shorthanded, but we have competent passing bigs. Evan Mobley sees passing lanes at 20 that he just shouldn't see. Jarrett Allen, he's not the greatest in the world, but it's not like he gets the ball and like he doesn't know what to do with it. He can make a pass if he wants to.
Yeah.
Markkanen, I haven't seen great passing prowess from him, but he's usually out on the perimeter receiving passes. So bring the defense in. Jarrett Allen's going to find you. Evan Mobley's going to find you on the outside. But you see these passes, it almost like I feel bad for Okoro. I really do, because he is not a confident shooter, but our bigs and Darius and our bench players give him so many open looks that it kind of highlights like his like underconfidence shooting the ball. Like there's multiple times a game he's standing at the 3-point line, like wide open with the ball, and then he drives, or, you can just tell, but it's because we have great passing players on the offensive side of the ball. King of 216 playing team ball, and I love it. I love it too. I think that it's nuts to say, it's a hot take. It's unbelievable to even believe, because especially the second time with LeBron, we won the championship, but it's as fun basketball in the regular season, since LeBron, equivalent to me. Lems sticking around. We appreciate you. It's early, I know, but Cavs need to chip away to get at least a 5th spot if possible. Totally agree. I think that that's obtainable. I think that's a goal. I think Bickerstaff probably shooting for higher than that. I think if we add somebody, we could go, up. And with the strength schedule going down, sky's the limit. Don't jeopardize too much future for one guy. That's the contention. That's the talking point. We're still more than one guy away from being a serious title contender. See, I don't know. I think we are one guy. I think we are that one guy. I think we played good teams close. And Rob Hill, that person is Colin Sexton. Really, though, is it? That's where we're going to push back on you, me and Justin, at least. Logan might not. I think that we could agree that if we got him in this robotic, 6-man role, he comes off the bench and he only takes 8 shots a game, then maybe, but I don't know if that's the case with his personality right now. If we get Lillard, do you honestly think we contend for title this year? No, let's let this group cut their teeth, add a shooter if price is right, enjoy a taste of playoffs, and let them mature.
That's what I was saying. Is it worth going right at it, right? Because at the end of the day, you could add Damian Lillard. I don't think it makes us a championship team yet. I don't. And I know. It sounds weird, but dude,
I think it does, man.
I gotta
Who
chime in
Imagine,
real quickly.
imagine
I gotta chime
Lillard
in
with
really quickly 'cause
Okoro's
Jeff,
who
looks.
the
listen, I've
hell
been doing this. I've been doing this type of thing with Jeff for a year now. He's quite literally on the whole like right now kind of vibe. Like
Always been.
and he's always been that kind of guy. He will sacrifice from what I've gathered for the Browns. He will sacrifice maybe 5 to 10 years of good teams to get one championship.
If you're a Browns fan, in the chat, you cannot tell me straight face that linebacker or whatever he plays, Sorensen for the Chiefs, head to head with Hollywood Higgins, and the ball goes out of the back of the end zone. You can't tell me that doesn't haunt you in your nightmares every night. Haunts me in my nightmares, and that's a play away from the AFC Championship game. Now we're 6-6, so we're off track, but.
Yeah. Give us Cleveland fans an inch, we want a mile, right? I think sometimes you have. I get that. I get that.
Give Cleveland fans New Jersey, and they send them socks too.
I mean, like, yeah. I just get the sense, guys. We've been terrible for a couple of years. We finally have some semblance of good. Do we want it to be over with in a year or two, or do we want it to build up for 3 to 4 years and suddenly be that top of the Eastern Conference? And hey, maybe no one wants to really come to Cleveland, I guess. Sadly, they don't understand
this is all. That's part of the equation, though. That is part of it.
It is part of the equation.
Like Dame Lillard is probably not going to want to come to us, so that's true. That's part of the fit.
So it's one of those things. Like Lillard probably makes us an Eastern Conference finalist. Fun. Then we can get our ass whooped by the Nets. I don't know. It's just one of those things, right?
Though. The Nets didn't even. I mean,
right? No, I'm just saying.
I'd worry about the Warriors on the other side.
Yeah, no, I would too. I'm just saying. Like, my point is, guys, it has to be two guys like two lower tier superstars, or has to be like the guy.
Maybe, yeah.
If it's not there, it might not be worth sacrificing as much as we think.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to talk some reason.
No, you're good. We need that because I know you're ready. I'm ready to hop off the boat and try to swim for sure. Couple more, then we're going to round up with final thoughts. We got to get Justin off the hook here. I know he's got some other obligations. So we've been going for 45 minutes. So I want to try to keep us, if people want to rewatch, I want to try to keep it under an hour.
We gotta get these last two comments.
No upgrade ASAP. Don't get complacent. See, that's special guest Bennett right there. I mean, he's going to share similar sentiments to me. Tom K coming in hot again. Is Darius underrated defender with big three behind him? Yes. Yep. He looks way improved to me. That is one of the biggest, and I think we can end here and it'll be nice and we'll go around. The defensive buy-in from whoever it is. And it's interesting because out of half, Ben Simmons, A.Lems, I said that in the offseason. I'm off that train. I'll tell you when I'm wrong. Ben Simmons was big wrong for me because I knew Garland was going to take a leap, but I didn't know this big. The defensive buy-in, it's interesting. They talked to assistant coaches out of the half, and the assistant coaches talk about the defense with Andre Knott, and it's like, Chetty Osman's defense has improved. Jarrett Allen inks a big deal. His defense has improved. Evan Mobley has probably one of the best defensive games for a 20-year-old since I've seen in a while. Darius Garland's defense has improved. Rob Hill, appreciate you. Great show, guys. Thank you for being here. But let's go to Justin and then Logan before we wrap it up.
Yeah, I believe it was 2 Cavs Encapsulated ago that I made the point about the defense and how they work over screens and how they go on the defensive end. A lot of times you have guys undercut it and allow the 3-point jump shot. Now that we have that big three, you see Darius Garland and our guards go over the top to try to, contest guys, to force them to go into that big three. And defensively, just from a coaching standpoint, this team has improved vastly in a great amount of, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just super respectable that I think from a coaching standpoint, JB deserves his flowers.
He absolutely does. Good win tonight, 115-92. Once again, your final. I know these post-game pulses, we don't really usually talk about the game too much, talk about the first 5-10 minutes. So we like to jump in conversation in the chat. I just want to remind everybody the Cavaliers did win today. We moved to 14-12, I think.
Yes.
14-12 in the season. Yeah, a lot of things to like right now in Cleveland, especially of the basketball variety. Can't thank everybody enough for coming in the chat and talking. We're not always going to agree. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't happen in sports. Everyone has their own opinions.
That's what we need, though.
But I think we can all agree we love where the Cavaliers are right now. And I think right now you just kind of stay the course. You see what happens, because guess what, guys? Mobley's still getting better. Garland's still getting better. Who's to say those guys won't be your all-stars soon? And then you only have to find the complementary players, right? And you don't need to throw away everybody. That's kind of my last little bit on trading. I still think a small move would be nice. Not even small move, a move that would definitely turn us around and make us better is something I definitely want. But yeah, once again, good fun discussion, and I look forward to Tuesday. Hopefully the Cavaliers are looking at a 3-1 over these 4 games that we last talked about.
Yeah. 26 games in, and it's pretty definitive. There's 2 types of teams that are going to have a tough time matching up with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2021-2022 campaign. Teams that don't shoot the 3 ball particularly well. You've seen that recently with Washington when we played them in DC. Kyle Kuzma, Bradley Beal, tough night from the field. We run guys off of the 3-point line. As Justin says, we go over screens. 2, teams without a lot of height. And it's not even the height, it's physical height. You see, Logan points out to me tonight, Vucevic is 6'10". He doesn't play like that, though. He plays around the perimeter. It's going to be tough to defend us down low. Great points. Great stream. We appreciate everyone from being here. We are going to try to do this more often. The Tuesday show is not moving, though. We're your Tuesday show. We're your Wednesday show. We're the Cleveland Pulse, and make sure you let them know.